Hello, and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 241. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
Pretty good.
This week on the show, we'll be looking at Slamdance 2017. We'll be covering a variety of films that are premiering at Slamdance this year, which is happening right now in Park City, Utah. Fantastic festival. It's a wonderful, wonderful festival. And not to get into too many spoilers for what we're going to be talking about, but I think that this is one of the best slam dances I've ever had the privilege of checking out. This is our fourth one that we've covered, and
I think you might be right.
It's been, and I'm still, the festival just started yesterday, so there's still going to be more things to watch, but as of right now, it's been phenomenal. We'll also be going over someone we'll be watching on the watch list, although I don't know about you, Kevin, but I only have one other thing since I've been cramming some slam dance. We'll be going over some movie predictions, new on video on demand, Blu-ray releases. Remember, you can send us an email at podcast@filmpulse.net. Join in on the conversation. Send us a tweet at FilmPulseNet. And if you like what you hear, consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber at patreon.com for just $1 a month. Just like our latest Patreon subscriber, Micah Van Hove.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Yeah, that's the director of Menthol.
It is the director of Menthol. He's also a pretty great cinematographer. So thank you so much, Micah. Really appreciate it. And this is not, he didn't ask us to do this or anything, but I'm going to plug his stuff anyway. You should check out his IMDb page. Look at some of his movies. Check out Menthol. Check out some of his other shorts and things, because he's definitely somebody that's worth looking at. Before we get into the reviews, I think I'd be remiss in saying that not covering the fact that we're in day 2 of the apocalypse right now. Have you been watching any of this craziness that's happening after the inauguration?
A little bit. Following a little bit of this. It's a bit much.
I have so many mixed emotions about what's happening right now because
I'm worn out and it's day 2.
The inauguration itself was a complete shit show. And I love all of the pictures that are coming out showing how many people were there, and just the empty stands and empty bleachers everywhere.
Which I do want to point this out because a lot of people are making this into a big thing that people weren't there. But there's 2 things to this that you got to realize. Number one, most of his supporters either A, probably don't have the money to travel there, and B, probably can't get off work to travel there. Now, another thing, and this is a big one, because you know this, all right, especially where I'm at and where you grew up, the people that support him will not go to a city because they are 100% certain that they are going to get mugged and or murdered because
that's actually true.
It's a city, and cities are scary.
That's actually quite true.
So I think that's a main reason a lot of people weren't there, because they're just terrified of cities.
So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, was the inauguration. Yesterday was the Women's March, which, it's like I felt down about the inauguration, and then something like this Women's March happens, and it just kind of makes me feel better about things. It's amazing. I don't know if you saw the numbers on this, but the turnout was absolutely incredible. It was 10 times that of the inauguration. There were marches on every continent, including Antarctica. In D.C. alone, there were twice as many people that showed up for the Women's March than the inauguration. I mean, it's just seeing a lot of the tweets and my Facebook feed and stuff. It kind of makes me feel hopeful that the next 4 years aren't going to be a complete and utter disaster, which throws this country into, the dark times.
It remains to be seen.
I love I don't know if you saw that there was the big press conference about the turnout of the inauguration. And it's like, you're wasting, this is an actual thing. You're doing this now. What is, and I love the video of the that Nazi guy getting punched in the face.
That was pretty fantastic.
What's his name? Richard Spicer or Spence?
Richard Spencer. You're mixing
Spencer.
And Sean Spicer's the press secretary. Yeah. Melding the two together. Yeah, he got punched in the face. That was pretty cool.
I like the conversation that started, where people were like, violence is never okay, and then a lot of people are like, well, it's violence against a Nazi.
Yeah, come on. Like, if you're even considering backing a Nazi, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that guy's such a piece of shit. He deserves to get punched in the face, and I loved the video, and I don't know if any have been released yet, but I can't wait for the many, many internet memes that will be coming out as a result of that video.
Oh yeah,
very excited. But I am I'm very happy to see what's happening now, and the fact that people are taking to the streets and just not sitting idly by and letting this just happen, and we're keeping everything in check. And I think that needs to continue to happen. I think that just letting it go is not going to be an option at this point. Because I know a lot of people, I don't know how you stand on this, but I feel like protesting is a good thing. A lot of people think that it doesn't do anything and there's no point, but I'm a believer in the power of protest.
I think you just got to couple it with something. Like, protesting, they're all right, but you got to couple it with something. You got to actually have a plan here. You got to be doing something.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen if that's going to come out of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. Very, very troubling times that we live in. Let's talk about some Slamdance stuff. Let's lighten it up a bit. I was thinking we could start with Withdrawn.
All right.
Just because that's the first one I happened to see, and it's the first one on my list here. So all of these films are having their world premieres at this year's Slamdance Film Festival. None of them are going to be readily available as of this recording. However, I would suggest that you add these to your watch list, because a lot of these I think are going to probably fly under the radar. So Withdrawn is directed by Adrian Murray. I have a synopsis here. Short on funds, a guy hatches a plot to scam the owner of a lost credit card. Now, Kevin, unfortunately, in the main character, Aaron, I kind of saw myself in him, and it bothered me. It really kind of motivated me to be like, I do not want to be this guy. I am deathly afraid to become this guy, because I could see myself becoming this guy if I don't force myself to be motivated about things in life. This movie is largely unscripted. It's based off of a 15-page outline, so a lot of the conversations and things that happen are completely ad-libbed. I think that's sort of a double-edged sword in this case. A lot of the conversations that occur don't really go anywhere. Some of them are interesting, but I feel like the problem with Withdrawn is that there's just not a lot there to go on. Yeah,
because I remember we talked about this earlier off the show, and I kind of said the same thing, and I didn't know what you pointed out was based on a 15-page outline, and I could definitely tell that there wasn't much. There wasn't much planning going into this one, it seems. And like I said, maybe next time have an outline, have a kind of like an agenda of what kind of movie you're going to make.
Yeah, because sorry, go ahead.
There's and I say in my review that from like an execution standpoint, it's admirable. You can tell that there's skill here in the way that the shot composition, the pace of it, everything, a lot of those aspects work. It's just, unfortunately, there's nothing to it. There's nothing to warrant this being made. There's nothing to warrant me watching these scenes.
Right, and I think that it would be one thing if the synopsis was actually part of the movie or played a bigger role in the movie. Yes, he finds a credit card on the ground, and he tries to figure out the pin to extract funds from an ATM with the credit card, but spoiler, he doesn't do it. Like, he can't figure out the pin.
Yeah, it literally takes up. I mean, if you put all those small scenes together, it takes up like an eighth of the movie, if that even. I mean, it's such a small part. I mean, more screen time is devoted to him playing with the Rubik's Cube than him trying to get funds from this misplaced credit card.
And I think that's largely the point of it, is that this guy is just kind of floating through life with no real ambitions. He's got no money, but he's trying to go to Europe, and he's just kind of, he's just a slacker meandering through existence. And to go back to your point about the shot composition and everything like that, I think that I will agree that I think that it was very nicely framed. Like the opening, I think it was the opening scene.
Oh yeah.
Where that was
like riding the bikes in that little alleyway, and how it's like tucked back.
Yeah, I loved that. I thought that was a great way to open the film.
Yeah, because these are all largely just long takes, static camera, and it works well. The execution of it it's great. Like I said, there's talent there. It's just unfortunately you're watching nothing really. And what I guess it's kind of the point. Like you said, he's a slacker, just kind of meandering through life, just kind of drifting along here. But I don't necessarily need to see that on film. Like I don't.
Right.
Like that's not interesting to me. Like,
and I feel like there's a lot of movies that kind of play with that idea as well.
There's plenty of slackers doing nothing. I don't need another film about them because I can guess what they're going to do. They're going to do nothing.
Yeah.
Like and that's in the beginning of this film I was getting into it, because I was kind of interested to see where it was going, but after a while you kind of realize like this isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that it was going to go somewhere. I mean, I was obviously wrong, but I was like, oh, this is going to go somewhere.
It has to, right?
Like something's going to happen here. Like with the credit card, I was thinking that he was going to do something with the credit card, but no, unfortunately.
I mean, the ending of it paid off a little bit. I'll give it that.
I think the ending was great, but
I did love the way that it ended, but it was just unfortunate of everything that I had to sit through to get to that point. And if I had to hear that guy telling his story about riding the bus with his French fries, I mean, that story just went on and on. It was so repetitive.
It's funny because a lot of these sequences are basically just Aaron listening to other people tell stories about their lives. And I kind of like that it was largely just him kind of sitting there observing from afar,
Yeah, and I don't even think he was really interested in anything anyone was saying.
He at least pretended to be engaged, though.
The only time that he's really interacting or talking is when he's having the Skype conversations, which I could never really tell if like that person on the other end was actually there because they never really interacted back that often. It's just a lot of one-sided conversations.
And when he's playing video games, he's chatting it up on the video games. I don't know. It was an interesting movie. I just, the big thing for me was that just there wasn't quite enough plot for me.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't even need, not even to say plot, just like an exploration of, some sort of thing. I mean, there wasn't much. It's not like a character study. It's not.
No, yeah, he was basically just kind of a blank slate, this guy.
Yeah.
They didn't really get too much into his psyche.
It's just a bunch of blank slates.
Yeah.
Just laying around doing nothing.
Overall, though, I still enjoyed it. I still found it to be entertaining and pretty well made. So, as far as scores go, I will go ahead and throw a 6 out for Withdrawn.
I give it like a 5.5. I would definitely, I'll definitely see more. Like, I'll definitely check out Adrian Murray's next film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about a slacker doing nothing because we don't need any more of those.
And no, we definitely don't need.
What we definitely don't need is if it's going to be about a slacker doing nothing, we definitely don't need it to be like an improv, based on a 15-page outline. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that kind of like it's kind of connected to them being slackers, I guess. But we don't need that. I'm sorry. Or at least I don't need that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So that's Withdrawn. Staying in Canada, we'll move on and do the Fluorescents. So Dim the Fluorescents is directed by Daniel Warth. I have a synopsis here. A struggling actress and an aspiring playwright pour all their creative energy into the only paying work they can find, role-playing demonstrations for corporate training seminars. When they book the biggest gig of their careers at a hotel conference, they commence work on their most ambitious production to date. Now, Kevin, you have a review for this one up on the site as well. Your Withdrawn review, you have that as a draft?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your Withdrawn review will probably be up by the time this airs. So I'll start this one off. I liked Dim the Fluorescents. I didn't love it. The only issue I had was there was some odd, I don't know if it was editing choices or it had kind of a weird vibe to it at some points. It had a slightly weird, I don't want to say tone, but the way that it was cut sometimes felt a little off to me. And I can't really put my finger on it, but it seemed strange. And that was kind of the vibe that I got from it is the level, the style of comedy in this is, it's kind of quirky. I felt like it went on a little bit too long. This is over 2 hours long.
Yeah, this is
and I felt like it could have been trimmed down a little bit, because I feel like it just goes on a little bit too long. But overall, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I did find it funny, and I liked the main characters and the dynamic of the main characters quite a bit.
I do remember, kind of discussing this one too, where I kind of picked this one out to cover it, not really knowing anything about it. And then, I found out that it's over 2 hours long, which just right off the bat, I was like, man, for a Slamdance title, you should not be doing that.
Yeah.
For your first film, it should not be 2 hours, especially quirky comedy. No. But I got to say, I was quite surprised by this one. I ended up loving this one. I did not really think that going in. I was pretty sure, based on the runtime alone and the synopsis, that it probably wasn't going to work out for me. But I was surprised. It totally did. It's just so damn absurd.
It is very absurd.
Their demonstrations that they do. And I love that it just started off with that first one, and it's so serious, and it's such an unbelievable production. And I don't know if it helps because I've had to sit through some of these with my work. And, the talent that I'm used to in seeing these workshops, demonstrations, it was quite something. And just to have that to be right off the bat and just to see how, like dedicated and committed they were to, like the first one's just about like how to handle a customer service complaint. But it's so much more.
Yes, they turned it into quite a production.
It's so ridiculous. It gets so heavy. I also love that fact that they make all of their demonstrations really, really heavy. Like they deal with some serious stuff.
Well, especially the final one when it was just about leadership in time of crisis or whatever.
And they turn it into a whole thing about alcoholism.
Yeah.
And just this person's life is falling apart and their marriage is failing. And it's this whole thing. And I love that they even have the sit down with the guy that works in the office. Then he's kind of going over their spec script, and he's just like, well, you can't have broken glass on the stage. That's something you can't do. Do it. And alcoholism seems kind of dark. It's just but I gotta say, I was the main thing that got me was early stages. You're right. It's this quirky comedy, and it's pretty absurd, and it's pretty funny. It's kind of dry, and then out of nowhere, it just kind of changes, and it gets really serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then, especially the ending, where they kind of go off script of what their whole thing was. And it's just like, oh, this isn't a quirky comedy anymore. This is actually like really serious. And I thought they did a fantastic job writing wise of like the little clues throughout.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't pay attention to her too. Like, like Audrey's character taking the pill,
Right.
like every so often. I didn't really think anything of that. And that kind of comes back into, and then I want to take a bath. And then she ends up like running out. It's just like, oh, she just wanted to take a bath. But then later on, you kind of figure out the significance of that.
Right. And I liked how they melded the performance piece into as a reflection on what was happening in their real lives and in their friendship. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I think that was the two big things that really made this thing work was the writing and then the performances from Claire Armstrong and Naomi Squarna. I think that without that, like this shouldn't work to me. Like reading the synopsis and knowing that it's 2+ hours and it's a first feature, I'm just thinking this is not going to work. There's no way. But somehow they pulled this off.
I like the look of it too. I think that choosing this kind of muted, pale color palette it really lends itself to the type of work that they do. These like corporate.
Yeah.
Everything feels very kind of sterile and just bland and colorless. And I think that really, it almost reminded me of Riley Stern's Faults and kind of the look of that.
This one, for me, out of everything that I've seen so far, this was the biggest surprise. And I think so far this is the one I like the most.
Oh, wow.
Which I was not ready for that. I did not think that's how this was going to play out.
I could have done with it being tightened up a little bit, but
I think that's definitely I can understand that. You know what I mean? Because I could see that too. I could say the same thing. But for me, the ending, I think the way that was handled and the kind of the shift from comedy to drama was kind of, with it being seamless. I think that made up for a lot of it. But you're right. There's like towards the beginning, I think you could, especially that party that they went to.
Mm-hmm.
I think you definitely could have cut some of that down.
Well, they spend a lot of time because at one point the moment that you mentioned where one of the two she leaves, what they do is they follow one and then they change perspectives and then they show where she was when she was gone. And I think that eats up a lot of time, and taking the time to develop the whole sort of love story that occurs, that takes up a lot of time as well. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be in there, because that is kind of one thing that is surprising about this is that the characters are so fully developed in this movie.
Yeah.
Like these are pretty complex characters, and they spend a lot of time on really developing these characters, these two leads, and I do think that it benefits the film greatly.
Oh, definitely. I don't think the film works without having that in there. And again, I think that's a combo of the writing and the performances. Because they're really complex characters for a film, a 2-hour quirky comedy about two people that do, white collar workshop seminars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why is this the setting that I'm finding fantastic writing and great performances? I was not prepared for that.
Definitely. All right. What are you going to give Dim the Fluorescents?
Well, I feel bad because I think my review's already up.
It is up.
I think I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7. I think I might go like a 7.5. I think I'm gonna stay at the 7.5 right now.
Okay. I'm going to throw out probably around a 7 on this one. 6.5, 7, somewhere in there. No, you know what? I'll stay with the 7 on this one. Really, this was a surprise for me too, because I really didn't know anything about this one going into it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So that's Dim the Fluorescents. I would say certainly add that one to your watch list.
Definitely.
I have no idea what I feel like that one should get picked up for distribution.
I hope so. I mean, it's just, and I think that's the number one thing here with this Slamdance lineup and Slamdance in general. You actually have titles where people are trying things.
Right.
that other. This isn't, like Sundance. You kind of have a lot of these films kind of follow a formula.
Yeah, they just go through the motions, a lot of
Yeah,
them.
these titles. I mean, they're trying something, and to do that in your first film too.
Yeah.
That brazen.
Yeah, that's the thing I like about Slamdance. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end when we kind of wrap things up. Let's move on, talk about our next movie, Dave Made a Maze.
You sure did.
Love the title on that, by the way. Big fan of the title. This is directed by Bill Watterson. Now, I should mention that with Slamdance, these are all debuts. So the way that Slamdance works is these are all feature debuts. Some of these directors did some short films. Most of them, this is their debut. So
yeah, I guess that's for the competition films, right?
Right. Competition, yeah. Anything that's in competition, it's got to be a debut. And I think that it also has to be. There's a budget restriction too. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's like I want to say like it's $1 million or less for the budget. So Dave Made a Maze. I have a synopsis here. Dave, an artist who has yet to complete anything significant in his career, builds a fort in his living room out of pure frustration, only to wind up trapped by the fantastical pitfalls, booby traps, and critters of his own creation. Now, when the Slamdance lineup first came out, and I kind of did a little brief overview of it, this one caught my eye immediately. And after I read the synopsis, I was like, "Oh, that has to go on my list. Like, I have to see this movie." And we'll start it with you, Kevin. What did you think of Dave Made a Maze?
Man, this one's a tough one because surface level, just, turn the brain off, just go along for the ride. It's pretty damn enjoyable. It's entertaining. I had a good time. But if you do kind of like think about it a little bit more, just go a little bit deeper, it's just like, you go into some place that I don't want to go. I'm just like, no, I don't like this. I don't like what it stands for. But just the surface level stuff, I love it. I mean, he makes a cardboard maze. A fort. Well, it should be. It's not a maze. It's a labyrinth.
A labyrinth,
right?
Yeah.
It is a labyrinth because there's a minotaur and everything, and just the amount of creativity that goes into the sets of this. Because one, it kind of starts out where you find out he's in the maze, and once they finally go inside, it's everything I want.
Yeah,
this is adventure-wise. I was like, yes, thank you, God. This is what I want.
Yeah, it was almost like this is what I wanted Beyond the Gates to be. Like, I wanted it to be more... Because, like, every room they go into has a completely different look. It has a completely different feel. There's, like, a whole different mechanic to that room. And the level of creativity in this is just completely off the charts. Like, there were times where... they would go into a certain room and I'd just be like, holy crap. This is a real set. I mean, this isn't like bullshit green screen CG or anything. Like this, they had to really make these sets out of cardboard and paper and construction paper and everything. And it was just so impressive to me. Especially like I think probably my favorite was the forced perspective room where they walk in and you think that there's like the coffee, the tea, the teacups and the chair and everything. Like it's just there's a lot of really kind of weird things going on inside the labyrinth, and a lot of it, almost every bit of it worked for me.
It's like a whimsical cube.
Yes, it is.
Of cardboard. And like when they first go into the room where there's like trash up to their, like almost up to their shoulders, their chest height, and there's the big giant cardboard like stone face.
Reminded me of Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have like the origami birds up on the sides, and it's just like, yes, I would love to do this for the next hour. And just like when people would get killed, and it would just be like the confetti.
Yeah, that was the next thing. Like, so to go back a little bit, his girlfriend comes home. She was like away on a trip or something. She comes home and there's this, maze in their apartment, and she discovers that he's trapped in it. So she calls her friends, and all of her friends come over. They eventually go into the maze, and then it's just about them trying to get out of the maze. And it turns out that it's a very dangerous maze, as several of them get killed. And the first person that dies, I thought it was so funny how it was her neck gets like sliced, but the way that they did it, I don't know if you saw, but it was like the zigzag ribbon went across her neck, and it was like that was to represent that her neck got cut open. And then of course all of the blood, there's no actual blood, it's all ribbons and confetti, which is amazing.
It's fantastic because there was a point like when that first happens, you're like, so did, and I love how they react too, where because they're not sure how the maze works either.
Yeah,
And it's
because
like,
yeah.
she actually like her head's not there anymore, so that she's definitely dead. But is she really? Because it was confetti, and I just love how they kept kind of just left that. Like even at the end, it's like maybe.
Yeah, like they're not even
Like I think those people died.
Oh, that was the first kind of issue that I had with the movie, was that this is a very kind of oddball comedy, and I get that. But when one of your friends dies right in front of you, even if you're not exactly sure what's going on, I feel like you would be freaking out more. Like I feel
Well,
like you'd be more upset.
I think it was more because they just didn't take it seriously. Because it's like, why would you take it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a cardboard maze. There's no way it's that big. Like you can't wrap your head around that. First off, because you're like, wait, it's just in the living room, but yet it's
And
so
also,
huge on the inside.
they're
And
kind of
I didn't see blood. I just see confetti and stuff. There's no way
Right,
that
right.
people are dead.
Also their lack of empathy kind of gets addressed at the end, like the one comment that guy made, the guy making the documentary. I can't remember exactly what he said to Dave, but he mentioned the fact that all of them died. But at any rate, I thought it was really interesting, and they just did a lot of really cool stuff with this. The scene where they go through the pipe and they come out the other end, and they're all made of paper.
They're all paper bags.
Yeah. I liked that a lot. I thought that was funny, and the crazy like vagina paper room where Dave stuck his hand in and turned his hand to paper.
Yeah, like I didn't 100% understand that.
No, I don't know. It was some
It's
kind
just,
of hypnotic
yeah,
thing.
you get to a point because once you see like the first couple of rooms, at least for me, I'm like, I hope there's a shit ton of rooms, and I just want to see what they do with each and every room.
Yeah,
Because they make do with cardboard. I mean, it's impressive.
yeah, they do a lot of really cool stuff. I like the idea of the temporary wall, which is the sheet that
Yeah.
you can put up, and that keeps the Minotaur out.
Oh God. But my main issue is that if you look, it's just if you go a little bit deeper, that this is just like another one of those man-child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like he's a complete piece of shit, and why is she still with him?
right.
Like, this is
Clear.
ridiculous.
Yeah, clearly she's the breadwinner. She's the one that does
Being an adult, and this
Yeah.
guy's and I'm
Playing
supposed to feel bad for this guy, and I don't feel. I want them to break up immediately. Like as soon as she gets done with this, just leave him because this guy is ridiculous. He's pathetic. Stop. How did he get that much cardboard?
I don't know. I have no idea.
And that was like he was in there for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Come on.
Either way, I thought that this was a really interesting movie. This one, I'm sure, will get picked up.
Definitely.
This one will definitely get picked up if it hasn't been already.
I'm kind of surprised that.
What's
that
that?
it hasn't been. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't been.
It might be by now. I mean, who knows? I think that it just screened. The premiere was last night, as of this recording. So I'm sure that this is going to be one that will definitely get picked up, because I think that it's just too interesting. I think that it's funny. It made me laugh, and this is one that will easily sell very well on VOD.
Yeah.
So, Dave made a maze. I'm gonna go ahead and give it I'll do a 7 out of 10 on this one.
Well, this is one. I would go like a 6.5, 7.
just the
It's just it's
the
just
rooms were so cool. Like
yeah,
it
that's
just
what I mean. Like if I can just shut my brain off, like don't think about it, Kevin. Don't think about what it implies. Just think about the cardboard rooms and what they did with cardboard. Just think about that. And if I go to that place, yeah, it works. But if I start to analyze it a bit too much, then I'm like, I don't like it as much. But there's no denying that they do so much with cardboard.
Yeah, it's really, really, really inventive film, and like the Minotaur design looks really cool. Just really, really talented people behind this movie for sure.
Yeah.
So I would certainly keep a lookout for Dave Made a Maze because it's quite interesting. Let's talk about now. Those are the ones that both of us saw, not including the shorts. We'll get to those in just a few minutes. Tell me about Kuro, because this is one that I did not get a chance to see yet. But you did see.
I saw this just recently. I saw this yesterday. So it's still a bit, I want to say a bit too fresh. I'm not 100% sure, how I feel about this one. It's interesting. I'll give it that right off the bat. It is interesting. It's a Japanese woman living in Paris. She's tending to her paraplegic lover. And essentially it's just her reminiscing, telling stories, right? So the entire movie is voiceover. It's all voiceover. None of the audio matches to what you're seeing image-wise, except for I think 2 sequences, which I think is just like her singing a song and her crying out kind of. So it's all voiceover. All right.
Okay.
So you know how I feel about voiceover.
Yeah.
For me, this works because of kind of how they're doing this is, with her just kind of recounting essentially how they first met, the initial stages of their relationship. She talks about how she has this job tending to this old man, Mr. Ono, and things that happen there. And what it really comes down to is it feels a lot like listening to an audiobook, but not entirely, because she's speaking Japanese the entire time. So you're, reading the subtitles. And then it's like a series of still lifes, static shots, and only occasionally is there movement within the frame, or does the actual camera move. And it just kind of shows, the home of Mr. Ono, like different rooms and stuff. It shows her taking care of her lover, like brushing his hair, doing little exercises with him, kind of like massaging his hands, that type of thing. So again, it's one of those things where it's really interesting and it's quite different than what I'm used to. And I'm just not 100% sure how I feel about it. Because the story that she tells kind of goes down this surreal, it just kind of takes this surreal left turn, which just really confused me. I feel as though I missed something, and I rewatched the left turn, and I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything, but I still feel as though I missed something, because it goes down this route where it gets surreal, like things get weird, and I just don't know what's happening anymore. But the imagery, pretty spot on. Again, for it being just primarily voiceover, I think it works. Because I think it's so much emphasis is put on the story, because you're essentially just listening to a woman recount, her history, really. I think with all that weight being on that, and that not really living up to being all that captivating or compelling, I think it just falls a little bit short.
Okay. And that's Kuro. That's directed by Joji Koyama and Tujiko Noriko.
It's definitely interesting. It's definitely worth a look.
Okay. I saw one. It's a documentary that's playing Slamdance called Strad Style, and this is an interesting one. I have a review for this up on the site as of right now. It's about a guy living in this rural town in Ohio who has this kind of obsession with violins, and his goal is to recreate Stradivari violins, and he eventually gets the opportunity. He meets this guy online who is he's an up and coming violinist, very famous. I'm not, super into the violin world, so I don't know how famous this guy is, but according to the documentary, he was like huge. Like he's this really big up and coming violinist, and they showed a lot of. Well, he does the soundtrack to the movie, and then they showed a lot of like his performances and stuff. And I'm no expert on judging violinists, but he seemed to be pretty off the hook to me. His name is what's his name? Razvan Stoika. So he meets this guy online, and he asks him, if you could play any violin, what would be the violin that you would want to play with? So he says that he would want to play Guarneri's El Canon, the Canon, which is arguably the most famous violin in the world and the most expensive violin in the world. So this guy, his name's Daniel Houck, he decides that he is going to attempt to make a replica, a 1-to-1, 100% accurate replica of this priceless violin, and give it to this violinist. And it basically just chronicles the process of him trying to make this violin. And it's really interesting. The thing that this has going for it is that the lead subject, Daniel Houck, he's an interesting guy. He's into violins and he's into lowriders. He likes to make lowrider cars, and those are his two hobbies. And so he's kind of an interesting guy. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't even have enough money to keep the heat on in his house. He lives on this farm, this big farmhouse that has no heat. Which, if you've ever been to Ohio during the winter, it gets pretty brutal. And he pretty much lives in solitude. He has no friends, really. But he occasionally meets up with his cousin, who's his cousin. I said in the review, they could make a movie about his cousin, and I would watch it because this guy is so weird. Like he goes to his cousin's house and he walks in, and the guy's like, his cousin's like, I should do a tarot card reading for you. And he just randomly does this tarot card reading, and then they're talking about violins. And he's like, how much does a violin cost? Like a new violin? He's like, oh, what? It's like $5,000 or something. And he's like, yeah, I was looking online, and like high end sex dolls cost like $5,000 or $6,000. So it's like comparable to that. And it was just some of the weird stuff. This guy is such a character. He was hilarious. But overall, it was a pretty good underdog story. It sort of reminded me of American Movie in a lot of ways, but not as exploitative. Like, I love American Movie, but I do, a lot of the criticisms about that are that the filmmakers were sort of exploiting those two guys. And this movie doesn't feel like that at all. Like it feels like it is a very kind documentary. And that might have been one of the sort of criticisms I had with it, is that I wanted to know more about this guy's backstory. Like, how did he end up living by himself in this giant farmhouse? And like, I just wanted to know more about what brought him to his place, now. And I don't know if that was stuff that was probably, it could have been too personal that they didn't want to include in the film. But I thought that it would have, because as much as it is sort of this underdog story of this guy trying to do this kind of very artisan, very niche thing, it was also kind of a character study on this guy. And I sort of wanted them to delve a little bit more deeply into him as a character and what drives him and what motivates him and more. But overall, it was really entertaining, really interesting, slightly heartwarming documentary. It's called Strad Style.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the short films that are playing Slamdance. We only got to see a couple of these so far. The first one was Brad Cuts Loose. This is the new one by Christopher Good. This one stars Kentucker Audley and Tipper Newton. What'd you think of this one?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous.
Just his, I work hard, and I would like to...
It's just that
And I would like to start playing considerably harder.
Yes,
Whatever
I
he
just
said.
that whole and again, this is what I love about Christopher Good, right? Because it's such a small scene. It's just them, like what they're like lunch break or something. They go out
Yeah.
and check this guy's new ride.
I
It's
love
like a
it.
BMW sports car, but he does. There's like 9 different things. There's overhead. There's tracking shot. There's a still shot. They cut when everyone's like, "We work hard." They cut to everyone's face saying we work hard, and then the camera pulls up real close to Kentucker as he writes down play hard in his little notebook. You know what I mean? It's such a small seed, and it's so overly complicated. It's ridiculous. But to me, that's what makes it so funny to me. And even the opening where you just have the person that's walking through the cubicles and dumping the papers onto, and his reaction just kind of building and building and building until he like loses his fucking mind. And,
I loved this one. I thought it was
I mean,
hilarious.
and his fantasy is so ridiculous.
Rolling the tire over you.
And just the way he reacts when he makes the phone call, of just how excited he is that is this really the service that you provide. And once he finds out, he kind of does the jump run, like yes, in the air. And then the fact, everything about it is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I love the way that he happened upon the site, about how like when he's at the bar trying to meet women and he's overhearing that conversation. He's trying to inject himself into this conversation about how this girl was like telling her friend about something, and then all of a sudden ads started showing up on her phone or her computer or whatever, because she thinks that her phone was listening to her, and just how he tries to inject himself into that conversation and where it ends up. And then the fact that all of a sudden on his computer, that exact thing, that very specific fantasy shows up.
It's so specific too.
Yeah.
And I just love that he didn't even consider the type of sludge that comes out of her mouth. Because there's so many different sludges to choose from. Oh, God. And I just the creativity to it all, too. Like, the way that he shoots his morning routine.
Oh, my God. That was amazing. Where everything gets dumped on him.
I mean, it's perfect. Yeah. I love it. Oh my God.
I can tell you right now, that is the perfect representation of my morning routine every day. It is the absolute perfect. Everything just gets dumped on me, and then I go to work.
He wants to play considerably harder than what he's currently doing. That's his whole thing.
Oh God. I mean, just thinking, I just want to go rewatch it now.
I know. I watched it 3 times. All right. And with this coupled with his mudjacking, I mean, to me, Christopher Good's the best comedic director working right now.
I know. I want him to come out with more and more and more stuff. Shorts, features, whatever. I just need more.
Yeah, whatever it is, just do it. And the other thing and he's not utilized as much in comedies, but Kentucker Audley needs to be in more comedies.
I know. He's really funny. I love his delivery. His comedic delivery he is on point.
Oh God.
Yeah, Brad cuts loose. Keep an eye out for that.
It made me want to do 2 things. It made me 3 things really. It made me want to immediately rewatch Brad Cuts Loose, which I did twice. It makes me want to go back and rewatch Mudjacking.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to watch Bad Fever, which is another comedy that Kentucker's in. It's kind of the same character, but in Bad Fever, he's much more pathetic. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Brad Cuts Loose. Definitely keep that one on your radar. Hopefully that'll end up on Vimeo or something relatively soon, because it is a must watch. And we'll be sure to put it up on the site as soon as it's made publicly available. The other one that we saw was Matthew Wade's latest short called Plena Stellarum. This is the guy that did How the Sky Will Melt, which we covered a while ago. What did you think about this one? Very different than How the Sky Will Melt.
Very different.
this is an animated film.
This is yeah, it's an animated film. Again, this is one of those things where as I'm watching them, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm not entirely sure what this is.
You know,
I
I'm
don't know what it
struggling with
is.
that, and I don't know if there's any kind of way to. The
I think like
synopsis just says neon ghosts dreaming in dead landscapes.
which I mean, it's that. It is that, I guess. And I think that's part of what makes me admire things like this is where I don't have anything to there's no comparison point for something like this.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say, "Oh, it's like such and such." Or, you kind of think of it like this meets that. If you want to do that lazy reductive shit. 'Cause I don't know what it is, and I don't know if there's anything else like it.
Well, I don't know what it is either, but I also don't care because when something looks this good and sounds this good, I'm cool with it.
It's
Like this,
yeah,
the
it creates this weird mood. It's just especially like the sound design to it, the music, or it's creepy.
well, plus the fact that it's all presented as a video game. I was on board from that moment.
Which it to me, it just immediately reminded me of NES Castlevania. I don't know why.
Yeah, it definitely has a Castlevania vibe.
I wanted to jump and hit those neon ghosts with my whip. I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to jump and
Mm-hmm.
hit them.
Little Simon Belmont action.
Duck, jump, hit them. Yeah, it's one of those too that like with that mind of not knowing what this is, it's kind of difficult to talk about.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it other than that it's a lot of really cool, interesting visuals. I don't know how he made this movie, but it looks amazing. Like just the animation is,
Yeah.
I loved it. How everything kind of had that glow to
Mhm.
it. It looked very. I don't want to say authentic because it doesn't necessarily look like an actual video game, but it had that kind of vibe to it.
It has, yeah, it kind of has this vibe of an 8-bit video game on a really old shitty TV.
It almost reminds me of there was this computer that came out. I think it was only in the UK called the ZX Spectrum, and it was like an early personal computer, and it had I think like 6 colors or something to it, and the way that they did it was they used overlays, so like certain areas of the screen would have certain colors, and it almost reminded me of that. How there's really only kind of like black, red, purple, and that's your color palette.
Hmm. Hmm.
But either way, I was loving this one. I think that coming in at 12 minutes is a good length because anything more, I probably would have started getting antsy with it.
Yeah, because you almost it kind of has this feel where it just feels more like an experiment on his part, like him just trying out some things.
Right.
Actual, like a short feature, just more of like trying things out, just experimenting a little bit, which
Definitely.
I think does work at the 12-minute.
Yep. It still makes me want to drink in everything that Matthew Wade does as well, just because he's really trying new things, and yeah, I'm all about that. So that is Plena Stellarum. Closing thoughts on Slamdance 2017. Now I know that we're still early in the festival, and I'll definitely be seeing some more stuff there before it's over. But what's your take on Slamdance 2017?
I'll kind of echo what you said earlier, where I think this might be Slamdance so far. I think offer wise, everything that I've seen for the most part has been worthwhile. Even though I was kind of, it's kind of light on Withdrawn, but there was still enough there. And like I kind of said earlier, where these things are different. Like I don't know what Plena Stellarum is. I don't know what that is. Dim the Fluorescents. I was not expecting that. Kuro, I'm still not 100% sure what that is. I don't know if I've seen that before. It's things that kind of like catch you off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Where you kind of used to, we've been doing this for a while. We've seen so many films where you go into a film And just judging by who the director is or what the genre is or what the synopsis is, you kind of have an idea what to expect. It's pretty, and usually films kind of stick to that. But I think when you get into slam dance territory, I mean, they kind of defy expectations.
Yeah, this is a film festival that's not afraid to take risks and just throw stuff out there and, you know, see what happens and support these kind of like renegade, new filmmakers that are just they don't really care about whether or not this is going to sell. They just want to get their ideas out there. And that's why Slamdance is just such a great festival. And I think that there have been some really, really great movies that have come out of Slam Dance, certainly. I mean, The Dirties is a good example that I can think of that premiered at Slam Dance.
Well, then
And
you had what if there's a Hell Below from last year,
yeah,
which we just did recently.
yeah. I mean, every year there's at least one or two standouts. But this year, this was the year where I felt like everything was it was like of a higher quality. Usually when I cover Slam Dance, there's a lot of them are just like, that was okay, I guess. But I felt like this year the quality of the films featured has been higher than ever before.
Yeah.
So good on you, Slam Dance. Keeping up with, it's got to be hard to be competing against Sundance every year. And I think that they're a really great organization to be still doing this after so many years.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about someone we're watching on the watch list. I only have one to talk about, and that's called Lair of the White Worm.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I've been interested in this one.
This is directed by Ken Russell. I'm covering this as part of the Withdrawn Collectors series. As far as I know, and I apologize in advance to the people at Lionsgate if there's some sort of embargo on this, because I didn't see anything about it. So I'm going to talk about it. This comes out on Blu-ray the 31st, I believe. So this is directed by Ken Russell. Came out in 1988. It stars Amanda Donahoe and Hugh Grant, Catherine Oxenberg, and Peter Capaldi. This is an interesting one. So it's based on the unfinished last novel by Bram Stoker, and that novel is called Lair of the White Worm, and it's about this woman who is this immortal snake person, and she worships this snake, this giant worm snake thing, and she has to feed it sacrifices, I suppose, every year. And Hugh Grant and his friends start to kind of uncover what she's doing, and she goes after one of them, and it's really weird. It's just a weird kind of oddball. There's this level of humor in it that's just very very strange. Ken Russell's kind of known for his oddball humor. He's the guy that did Tommy and Gothic. And this one, it's like he does this kind of Bram Stoker story, but he has Amanda Donahoe as she's the villain. She's the bad guy. She's this kind of snake queen lady. And he just has she's got this kind of wry wit to her. And she's just constantly quoting Oscar Wilde, which I thought was really interesting, how there were so many references to Oscar Wilde in this, and it's just a weird movie. I had a lot of fun with it. It's very 80s, not quite as 80s as I would have liked, but
didn't
80s,
reach the level of the 80s that you were looking for.
I prefer the rampant consumerist Valley Girl 80s.
Gotcha.
Whereas this takes place in the English countryside. So this is more like a dry BBC comedy.
Yeah, 80s. 80s were kind of boring then.
Yeah,
in that area.
But it is it's one worth watching, I'd say. The effects certainly don't hold up, but they're still fun in a kind of cheesy sort of way. And yeah, I would definitely check it out. The Blu-ray is pretty good. I've never seen this before, so I can't say if the quality of this new remastered edition is any better than any previous releases. But it seemed pretty good to me. It wasn't any kind of like 4K restoration or anything like that, but the quality was good. So, Lair of the White Worm coming out on the Withdrawn collection on the 31st.
I can't wait to see that one. Pretty excited. I have one. We'll do a one for one. I watched Into the Forest. Now, this is from Patricia Rozema, who did I've Heard the Mermaids Singing, which I did see. Loved that movie. When I watched Into the Forest, I didn't know that this was her. This was just a movie that my wife picked, threw it on. I didn't know anything about it. What I thought this movie was The Forest, the horror movie one that came out recently. I thought it was that movie, right? So for the first 30 to 40 minutes, I was really confused because there is a forest, but no one's lost in, like, no one's looking for someone in the forest. And there's even two sisters, but they're together all the time. So I'm just like, when does one get lost in the forest and when does they start looking for her? I don't understand this movie. It's taken a really long time to get going. Well, it turns out it's not that movie. This is some sort of like future, like near future, where they're having these power outages on the Pacific Northwest. All right. So it's two sisters, their dad, something happens to their dad. Now it's just the two sisters trying to survive. This is a movie that just never goes anywhere and it never starts. It's constantly starting and it's just spinning its wheels, going nowhere. So, and then there's a couple of things that just don't really make too much sense. One, power goes out. All right. Now they live in this beautiful home. I mean, it's ridiculous, out in the middle of the woods. It's so modern. Oh my God. And within like 5 months, 6 months of not having power, their roof is just shit. It's just leaking water everywhere. Okay. Now you look at the home, you know it's a modern home. You know that it was built not too long ago. And apparently they didn't know how to make roofs because this thing is a piece of shit. But I don't understand how losing power affects your roof construction.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It plays a big part. Like, they can't live there anymore because the roof's falling apart and they end up getting black mold because of all the rain and stuff. And it's just like, do something to your roof, okay? And then nothing happens for a really long time. So one of the sisters gets raped out of nowhere. Like, a guy shows up and he's like, hey, I'm just going to wait for your dad to get back. Bam, rapes her. I spoiled the movie. Don't worry. It sucks. Don't watch it.
Wow.
So then that just happens out of nowhere and you're just like, oh, okay. So we're that movie now. And then just he leaves and just them surviving again. And they end up having to go out into the woods to survive. And a question again is they were not able to keep care of their rice because the rice gets maggots and worms in it. So they're unable to eat this rice that they have. So you're unable to keeping your rice dry does not involve electricity. So it doesn't matter your situation. You should be able to keep your rice dry, but you weren't able to do that. And now I'm supposed to believe that you're going to go out into the wilderness and take care of yourselves. I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. Just nothing happens in this movie.
And that's Into the Forest.
Waste of time. Waste of time.
That's unfortunate. All right, let's talk about some predictions. Last week, Triple X, Return of Xander Cage. You said 42. I said 36. Actual 42. Right on the money.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Founder. You said 73. I said 72. Actual 82.
Wow. Okay.
Split. You said 10. I said 68. Actual 76.
Wow. I've actually heard like nothing but good things.
They're loving that split. Next week we have Resident Evil: The Final Chapter.
Sure?
I'm going to say 21 on that.
I'm going to say 30.
I'm sure it's going to be a nightmare. A Dog's Purpose. Yeesh. What are you thinking on this one?
Are people actually going to go see it?
I have no idea. I'm not, but I'm a huge dog lover, but
I mean, with what's came out recently, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't this be boycotted? 100%. I'll say 0.
I'll say 3. And then we have
Three is somehow funnier than a 0.
I know.
Because you just think of that one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That one person that's like, I like this. I really like this movie. Compared to, everyone else that just hated it.
Gold. This is the one with Matthew McConaughey about gold.
This is really.
This is directed by the guy that did Syriana, and they just announced this week that he's going to be directing The Division, which is an adaptation of the recent video game.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to star Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Gold, I will say 76.
I'm going to say 68.
In limited release next week, we have Bastards, we have The Daughter, Behemoth, The Salesman. The Salesman is one that it's getting a lot of buzz. I think that's, I don't know if that's on the short list for foreign language film at the Oscars.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, I know that that's getting a lot of buzz. Maybe we'll cover that next week. Who knows? Let's see, what else do we have? Paris 559, Theo and Hugo. Not sure what that's all about. I got a couple emails about that. Lost in Florence, awful cover. Sophie and the Rising Sun, Kung Fu Yoga, Get the Girl, Kung Fu Yoga. The Age of Consequences, Midsummer in Newtown. That one got some emails about that one too. And that's pretty much it for limited releases. Oh, I Am Michael. I Am Michael comes out. That's the one with James Franco and Zachary Quinto tells the true story of the guy who like finds God and turns straight or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's not worth my time.
Yeah, maybe not. Not really sure. VOD next week. Let's see what we got on the old VOD calendar. Doesn't look like we have a whole lot. We have Beware the Slender Man, which is going to be on HBO tomorrow. I'll probably check that out. That's the documentary about the two girls that they stabbed the other girl.
Yeah,
because of Slender Man. I know. I'm
Slender Man. Yeah, dude.
Really interested in that. A Patch of Fog comes out on the 24th. And then Friday, we have Lost in Florence, The Sunshine Makers, and I Am Michael.
Okay.
Blu-ray next week. We have the Light Between Oceans. Heard that was bad.
Yeah, I didn't hear good things.
USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage. That's the incredible Nicolas Cage one. The Monster, which is the one with the Zoe Kazan. It's not great. Inferno, that's the Da Vinci Code one that's supposedly very terrible. We have Blood Rage from 1987 coming out on Arrow, as well as Takeshi Miike's Black Society trilogy.
Nice.
From 1995. That's exciting.
I like that.
That's pretty much it for the most part. What do we have on the Criterion front?
We have one Criterion, and that's 1966, Black Girl. Finally getting some more African titles on Criterion.
Nice.
I think this is only like their second, maybe third African title. About damn time. This is another one of it's a restoration from the Film Foundation's World Cinema Project. So,
okay.
Mr. Scorsese.
And you'll be covering that one, yes?
I will be, yes. Hopefully I can find the time to squeeze all that in.
Very exciting. All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet, @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse, to consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber for just $1 a month, or more if you want. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.